This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it is Wednesday, November 28th, 5:35. We'll call the police committee meeting to order here at Village Hall. We have in attendance Anna Lefevre, Jason Ackerman, Chief White, and Sergeant Haft, and Julie over today. Public comment, there's no one signed up, no one here. Any conflict of interest on the agenda that we see today? Hearing none, moving on. Get a chance to look at the minutes.
Take care, Mike.
I'll make motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, minutes approved. Maybe we probably have enough time to hit the agenda in order. I just want to make sure we go through that step pay proposal again for my benefit. And I don't know if Jason needs it, but I do, just to feel comfortable. But we'll start with the first thing on the agenda, which is the medication drive. And Jason, I think you asked that.
Yeah, because I put it on the community development. She got, what is her name, Pamela?
Yeah.
So she sent an email. Did she catch you to that, Jeff?
No, but you sent it to me.
Did. So we can do that. We gotta just, are we good? First of all, did we decide that's something we want to do again? I mean, it was.
How much did it cost us to do it?
It hasn't cost us anything, because we still got medication from last year here.
Yeah, but we have to give them like $1,400 or something like that. It's a sponsorship, it's called, or something to have.
Yes, we do.
I've
Yes, we
never
do.
known anyone to go without.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So matter of fact, is that what she was saying? We never paid it?
No, there was a invoice issue, but Sally,
Was that paid out through you then, to the,
Keep Illinois Beautiful, Sally, we did pay them, right?
Yes.
Yes.
so that was through community development though?
Where, I don't know.
Right, yeah,
Yes.
it's community development.
Yes. So,
I guess it's a matter of whether you want to spend that kind of money to do that again, out of the community development fund.
we had a problem with scheduling, and she got back to me, there it is. Okay, we did it in June before, is that right? If not, we can plan it for April with the DEA. Remember, because of our storage issues and picking it up. Like I said before in our community development, we pay that. It seemed like a lot of people came though, but there are other places you can take these things to. From the last time, I know everybody's aware of that. There's many more places that people can take their medication and drop it off than there was when we started this drive.
Did we get some feedback as far as how many residents attended last time and
Actual residents, I don't think we did, but
like just people in
I
general?
think they keep track of what numbers.
Yes, we
people
did.
come through.
Well, it still could bring business, whether it be a Taco Bell or McDonald's run, you never know.
I had a question too, she's talking about April with DEA, does that mean DEA is gonna take medication away? Well,
Yeah, that's
She
my
did.
question too.
huh, she didn't know?
she didn't specify it. Wasn't there 2 times a year they,
Yeah, I think it was October.
Which shit?
It was October, wasn't it? Huh?
Yeah.
You could take it up to the DEA facility and they'll take it.
I didn't take it any farther than that. I thought I'd see if we even wanted it
I guess, I don't have an issue doing as long as, I don't know if we have to do it every year. If it seemed beneficial, have at it. I don't know.
Well,
It doesn't bother me at all.
yeah, like I said, it's the cost. I mean, if community development's gonna keep, because I don't have anything in my budget to pay that. So if community development wants to keep funding that,
Well, yeah. And she wants to do it in April, and we had it in June last year, right?
She don't care. She's just asking, are we gonna do it in June? If that was an issue because it's storage. She mentioned this April and the DEF, we're trying
I
to
would
find.
say if they're gonna take care of all the drugs, let's do it in April, and we don't have to store them,
Yes.
don't you think?
that was my thing. If the DEA, when she mentioned DEA in the email, I thought, okay, is DEA gonna come pick the stuff up, take it with them?
Because to me, if it's being sponsored by them, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, here's the email, Julie.
Yeah,
Looks like we have 148 pounds of meds, 8 pounds of aerosols, whatever.
Nasal spray,
Oh. Usually they
Inhalers.
take creams, but that was not included. That was 100 pounds. We had 72 cars come through and had 6 volunteers, 9 with our staff, supervisor and police. So 72 cars came through.
And we do offer overtime for an officer to be there, so we're paying a
That's
premium.
minimal, I mean, that's,
Right.
I guess.
You have to have
Just to answer that question.
If you could clarify with Pamela, if that DEA means they're gonna take care of everything, that makes the decision pretty darn easy, in my opinion, because this was a pain to,
Yeah, I mean,
is that stuff gone?
No, it's still here.
Planned for
I
April.
don't know if you know, we don't have a lot of room back there.
And it wasn't really a lot of boxes.
And what are we waiting for again? They're gonna come,
No, they don't come. We have to take it to DEA in Chicago.
so
I
right
guess-
now, with that being said, I would say we're not gonna do it this year unless we, like, figure out how to unload our supplies.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up in here first.
Yeah.
Because if we can't, if we're storing it and they still haven't taken this,
well,
you know.
if they're coming in April, can they take this plus April's
Right.
dump? That's what I would
I'll
find
find
out, and
out.
if that's the case, I'd say let's do it.
Or did you just,
We consistently paid that out of community development, it's never been a police cost.
yeah, I didn't think so, because I never saw anything for it, so. No, I was just curious. I mean, she mentions DEA in April. No comments about that. Does that, I mean, I'd like to know, does that mean DEA is gonna take what you collect?
Yeah, that's what we need.
So we'd be in here okay with it if that was the case.
Right. Well, if you're
Just make
okay,
sure you know what the sponsorship.
yeah,
dollar
and if you're
amount
okay
is,
with
too.
it.
Okay.
Sick?
That's it. Thank you.
So I just got over 3 weeks, heck, I don't wanna go back.
Move down a chair.
Okay, so you got your marching orders, Jason?
Yes, thank you.
All right, next item for discussion, or is there discussion around the recruitment and retention? I
A
know.
little bit, we've had
Maybe not ahead
the
of that.
two. Was it two? One of them, I've done a little research on, and I would say no. The other one is not certified, so that would be a downstate $6,000 cost, which my understanding is you can get most of that reimbursed, but it'd be a matter of when you get the reimbursement. So, and then we have a person that's interested part-time. But it may be a sticking point as to, because of who it is, Michael Mund.
Okay, why is that sticking, is he still at PEC or?
No, he's not at PAC, he's actually working part-time for Cherry Valley, but I didn't know how it would go over with his issue with that and when he was in PAC.
I don't even remember. So he was involved in some of that too, or?
No,
This was
completely
a
separate.
standalone incident.
What's that?
It was a different incident.
But he's not decertified, he's not anything, and basically we could drop him in here and put him around the street.
He was part-time at one point.
He was
Yeah.
part-time here,
I've got a host of uniforms that would fit him today. I could say, all right, Mike, let's go. And there
yeah. So
would
it's
be
just a matter of,
no transition.
So remind me what happened, can we talk about that?
I don't know.
I think you probably go to executive session with that one, I don't know.
Or we talk about it individually afterwards. So that's where we're at with those, we don't really have a whole lot.
Mhm.
We'll have a lot of applications that have come in, so.
How's the rest, is everyone else?
Now everyone else seems to be okay.
Other than Nick?
Would you guys, if you two know what happened, would you be okay with it?
I'm okay with it, cause, I mean, it's not,
I've known Mr. Mund for a very long time.
if it was a normal citizen that this occurred with, nobody would think twice about it.
Right, I agree with that. So, but anyway, we'll get Julie up to speed.
I remember, but I heard, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
Just-
well, we can wait till next month, it's no big deal.
Okay.
So I think that's all we have for that.
All right, so I asked Adam if he would be so kind as to go through the step proposal again with me. I think it's probably gonna go to the board, is it?
Yep.
So I wanna make sure.
I just emailed you and Jason, both have computers open. When I emailed these two earlier today. So,
Well, then you sent it all to everybody before?
I
But he updated it a little bit.
updated what I sent you guys today, were just like, almost like the
If
final.
I forward this to you, could you put it on the screen?
You already have it. Here,
Just,
hold on,
I feel like
hold
you're
on.
signing as me, look at my email.
Hold on, I got a flash drive right here.
I need it to go on this computer though. It's not gonna.
Hold on, let me double check, make sure it's on my flash
If
drive.
not, that's okay, if we wanna just look at
Oh, I
it.
can. Give me just a couple.
I got it right here.
All right, you wanna plug it into that computer? Down below, that would work.
Yeah, the Dell right there.
Yeah,
There's
because
stuff we can never do, or plug anything into someone to the network like that.
Oh, well, that's financial.
Well, it's also corruptible over the whole network if there's something.
All right, go down to the PD pay scales, that one, yes. All right, so I cleaned this up a little bit, kind of for discussion. I think you probably wanna know the progression, how somebody progresses through this, correct?
Yeah.
So I isolated, obviously blacked out what does it pertain to an employee, to kind of make it a little bit easier to read. I think this cleans it up a little bit easier for everybody.
So I would take this would be like an example of, Officer Cotter,
Well, we
right?
don't wanna give names, but just so, okay, so here's an.
So this would be somebody who was currently, that we hired that had 3 years on. They're gonna be transitioned into the program.
So we hired them today at $28 an hour.
Right.
And they have 3 years' experience, right? So tell me what.
We
happens.
gave them 3 years experience because of the experience they had. Yeah.
Whatever, I think it was 3 or 4, without looking at what we talked earlier. So come January 1st, their ex, for example, would be $28, and if they have an anniversary and got brain fart right now.
So,
Oh, great.
No, I lost my train of thought here. Because
4856 would be CPI starting January 1st.
correct. So basically, this is somebody,
so they're currently at 28.
He's currently started, yep, and then he's gonna go through, he's gonna be stuck in that column for 2 years. On his anniversary date, which would be January 1st for this one, for example, he would laterally move over on January 1st of 2024. Okay, and then he's in that column for 2 years. And
So
then,
that would be-
and January 1st, he'll slide over on the anniversary day.
So he's only getting CPI increases for year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 10, all those strips down, he's just a CPI increase.
Correct.
And what's the percentage going over?
There is no, I couldn't tell you, each one's different because that was based off to the employees we currently had, and I filled in the blanks to kinda,
Oh,
Just-
raises,
So they never get-
average
they-
raises or something?
something similar to that, yes.
So they
yes.
never get both the sorry. I'm
So this-
all over the place.
You can get a CPI raise and a yearly raise. Scroll down on that, would you? So keep, I got a couple in there. So for example, this green one right here,
This is a new hire.
this would be a new hire. This is somebody that got hired, I think, example 7/1 in July. This is where an employee would get the longevity raise mid-year. So that's why you see it kind of go over and then down,
So,
over and down.
From
over and down.
January 1 until July 1st, they would go down to 2550. July 1st of 23, they would move to 2650.
Correct.
And then January of 24, they would move down to 2701.
Yep. And then.
July of 24, they moved to 2809. Because it falls on their anniversary date.
And how does this get tied to performance, or does it not at all?
However we want to tie it to performance. And
So if I have a mediocre or an excellent employee, because I don't think we have any subpar, so it doesn't matter if they're mediocre or excellent, they're still gonna follow that.
correct, that's typically how it is.
Unless they're underperforming or not meeting standards.
But how does it work where you are for, say, education, training? There's nothing.
All of our training is mandatory.
So a lot of this pay is based because they're already getting that training. So a lot of that pay is based off they're already certified officer, all that stuff when they get hired. We could do an entry level like police officer if we did have one that say, didn't have his police stuff. You could start less and then for like the first year, Because I know
So,
like rapid fire.
Here's an example. So you hire somebody that has to go to PTI, that's a training institute, so they're not certified. So you can start their wage below this while they're being trained.
Yeah,
While
they
they're
bring them
PTI.
to that.
Once they get their certification, you would bring them up to this level of 25.
Yeah.
And then they would start hitting
So
that.
you're saying that for police,
Yes.
there are certain trainings, everybody has to have these trainings.
State
matter what.
mandated.
So
And it's
it
tracked.
falls in this way.
It's
So
tracked.
the only one example I have, and this goes way back, is when we talked about you, Nick, having when we first started, when I first joined, we were talking about him having tech, he handles the tech things, right? And that was spoken of, now that's a plus.
That would be a stipend if you want to give somebody a stipend, so you can ultimately give your
So I think
your
in his
school
case,
resource.
in his case, some of that was taken into consideration when his wage was determined, I believe.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I'm
But-
saying,
but-
I'm using it as an
No,
example for
I get
anybody.
it.
But for your example, so a good example would be a school resource officer.
Right,
Yeah, and
You know, but he's already getting paid, but it could be somebody who had some critical incident training type stuff, certificate, or specializes something here, where we could potentially give them a stipend.
well, we've kind of got that set up to where if you're an FTO, field training officer, while you are training someone, you get a bump in your pay.
Night pay is a bump, so
Night
that,
pay is a bump,
that's
and that's
technically a
not,
stipend.
and that's not considered in this either, I don't think.
No,
So that would
So-
be in addition to this.
how is that gonna be?
Because that's paid for your hour.
Night pay is a separate line item on their stub, right? An extra 50 cents or a buck,
Yeah,
whatever it
I
is.
think so.
So like, here's your wage,
Wow.
26 an hour, here's your night pay, $1 an hour.
Yeah. So it's any hours worked between 6 PM and 6 AM.
So this is still,
this
the
is
whole
base
idea is
pay.
this is easier to,
This is
Yeah,
base
this is
pay.
the
bigger
base pay.
budget.
This is your base pay. That's
Right.
all this is.
I'm
But the
still a
re- and the
little
rest would be
I'm still a little confused about if you get hired in January versus June, is it advantageous to get hired in June based on these steps the way you
No.
have them laid out?
It'll all
No.
wash out.
Yes.
What's that?
It'll all wash out.
But you're getting a 2% increase and then you're getting something else in June.
You would still
Where
get
the other guy just got his 2% for 2 years, and then the next year he gets the raise.
Yeah,
Because
well,
these-
the reason we set it up this way, because the new hires coming in, you advance more early on in your career
No, I,
to try and get people to stay. And then it's kind of spread out. I mean, once you get to 3 to 4, it's kind of spread out. There's not
I
as much. Not as
think
much
you're confused
movement.
on what you're thinking. So what she's trying asking is, because this person here, this employee feels like he's getting a raise every 6 months. And that's in he technically is. But one of those raises, he's not getting a CPI. If you go to the one we started on January, he's getting his CPI and his step pay all in one shot.
Where? There, he's getting just CPIs.
No, he's not, because don't forget, every year, that entire bracket is hit with the CPI. So that line item on the cross, so he is,
That's why I was asking, what's the
You can't-
percentage
you can't
change,
see it.
3043 to
So-
2856?
so if he was to
She
stay
can't
in this
see it.
town for 2024, it's gonna be 3173.
I see.
It's hard to see it because of what's going on here. Because I got it blacked out.
Yeah. I was looking-
Because this entire bracket,
That's a
there you go, so this entire bracket is hit, so every lateral is hit with the certain percentage, but it's also is that CPI. So it's gonna grow no matter what.
Can you go back to the other page?
The one that's.
Yeah,
marked
that
up?
one.
It is behind you too, so.
Well, the whole idea before is there was the ability for someone to make up to 5% increase. Because there was gonna be a 2.5% cap on the CPI, we get January 1st anyway, right?
Yeah, but when I'm looking at these numbers here, that's a 6.5% increase from 3043 to 2856. So their first step over is a 6.5% increase.
But don't forget, you're also throwing this column has is 2%, so 2% of that 3043 is your CPI. So they're only getting a 4% technically. That's the thing, is that bracket, you also
So the
got some.
step is incorporating the CPI
Correct.
increase too.
Correct, just because the way you're moving is all at one shot instead of tiptoeing as the other one got hired mid-year.
So,
So it would basically be the same way, like I said, if you had somebody that came in with the way it's set up now, so you had a CPI that was automatic, depending on what the CPI rate was. Everybody got that January 1st. Now, your merit increase is based on your performance, obviously,
you're talking about now, not with this.
not with this, but I'm just saying, the way it's set up now is you do a performance appraisal on their anniversary, that determines what they get in a raise anyway. So you're basically gonna get those two either way. So you're gonna get your CPI January 1st, whatever the percentage is and determine CPI is, and then you would get your performance increase on your anniversary. So it's no different, this is really no different from that, it's just set up different.
Yeah.
It's all
Well,
added together.
I will say what I like about it is that it keeps our starting salaries in line with inflation. You know, right now, we just say $26, it's always been $26 a year. And then we ended up with these big raises this year and everyone's gasping saying, how can we do this? I mean, because we're making up for 8 years of.
And go back to the $25 one, your starter. So that's starting wage. Now, in the next year, scroll so you can see the date at the top of this, or down and whatever. Because isn't there, see up to see, so you've got hired 7-1. So you're basically, that whole column, the whole left-hand column moves off the board in the next year. So that's 2022. So the starting wage for 2023 would be $25.50. See what I was saying?
Yeah, it's a 2% increase. So,
Yes.
and then the next one after that will be 2% more than 25.
Right, so it just, the scale just kind of keeps pushing the one way, and you keep adding to, if you continue to add to the starting wage as everybody else adds up, that starting wage is gonna go up with everybody else. So there's not, you don't have these positions where we're, 5 years behind, where starting wages stay the same for 5 years.
Right, so I guess my question is, did you test this, so as you shift those columns off, all these increases are gonna be the same as far as percentages, you know what I mean? So now, let's say it's 2025 and the starting wage is 26.
You're talking the difference between the starting wage and the max out wage.
The step over, so we know that it's a simple 2% increase going down the columns.
I guess I didn't do that. I mean, this column here is just kind of to show the sequence, how something will progress. I guess I haven't.
Yeah, because we're gonna want something, if we're gonna adopt this, we're gonna have to have something that's gonna work. In 2025, when we hire this person at this wage, is he or she gonna be treated the same way as far as increases as we step across?
Well, I think, this is an example, and what's gonna happen is, from my
Well, we
understanding.
need more than an example to vote on.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, this is an example, but from my understanding, a new chart like this would have to be made every year, because depending on what the CPI is.
That's what I just thought.
Because CPI could be 2% this year, and it could be determined to be 3% for next year, so that spreadsheet or that document would have to be changed.
Or merit. You just said they still get merit
They
rate.
do now.
No, we wouldn't get.
You wouldn't get it-
So
you
that
wouldn't get it.
resolution.
Which is the philosophical problem I think that Mike has with this whole thing is, so
Yeah.
you've got a mediocre and an excellent employee and they're both gonna be treated the same.
That's the thing is, in this job, and we hear it all the time, I'm doing the exact same job as you are, or as you are. And I'm doing the whole, yes, I might struggle with a couple of things, but everybody has their strong points and weak points. The big thing is in the public sector is we're all doing the exact same job. It's just the years of service is completely different. When you get in an office setting and maybe where he is, it's a little different because you have different jobs, different tasks. When we put in this
Private
field,
sector, you'll never see anything like this.
no.
You'll never
This is
see
all
some
based
pay
on-
scale like this.
This is based
Public
on the
safety,
public
Well,
sector.
unions would have this in the.
And this-
Yeah, this is huge union.
That's kind of where I adopted it from, was from
Right.
the county.
Yes,
Union contract, 'cause this is basically how they had their.
this is how it is
Similar to this.
because they're union. They fight for the labor, but now we're trying to,
Yes,
yes,
they would have training involved, just like the school does.
yep, and I agree.
Yeah, but our training is every year, it's.
And I
I know, but the merit end of it, what makes me want to do better?
Well,
By
yeah,
doing
no, I
that.
understand, it's the quality of work,
You
I
know,
understand where you're going with it. As long as the quality of work is acceptable and it meets the standard, I don't see how you could, and the only way you could, stop somebody from moving forward would be to have an unacceptable, review.
Yeah, but what he's saying is, if I want to do even better in the hopes of getting more money, you can't do that. under
You're
this
not
system.
gonna move.
You
You're
can,
not
why
gonna
would I
make that.
bust my butt if the mediocre guy's gonna get what I'm gonna get?
Problem
That's
is,
the
in this
most-
job though, you're not gonna, writing more speeding tickets, so it's not gonna get you a better pay, no matter where
No matter where you're at.
no matter
Good
what.
cops, bad cops, guys.
But I get what you're saying
But
is,
there
So
are,
you're saying the training is,
There-
there's nothing else they can do to do.
there are
There are
opportunities
things they can do.
if they wanna do it, if they wanna be a field training officer. If they want, what else do we have? If they wanna be an SRO.
Well,
obviously
wasn't
we can't do
Sarah
that.
something special with her crime investigation or?
Scroll that-
And we would not have that here.
Huh?
We would not do that anymore for this?
no, you would,
You would still do it
Go to
because
the bottom
it would
right
be- it's
where
basically a
it says-
stipend that would only apply when they're actually training someone. They wouldn't get it throughout the whole year. Only when they're actually physically training a person is when they would get that stipend for being an FTO.
And the
And
way-
that's gonna be easy to track, the stipend,
Yeah,
compared to
because
what we're doing now?
Because we would
I mean,
put
is the
up,
whole point that we'll be able to budget better, or am I off on that?
yeah, that's the whole.
Well,
see
not
everything.
necessarily, I don't
Not
think this
budget
was
better,
budget driven in necessarily, I think it was more the big makeup year, we had to make it with that through
Base
everybody for a
pay.
loop.
Base pay issue.
Because we were not really
Okay.
keeping up.
and
with
when you
the
have that, you can see where I predicted it, if we do an average CPI for the next 30 years of X amount of percentage, you can say here, this is what it potentially could look
Yeah,
like.
but if we get an 8% inflation, we're not gonna create a chart that's got 8% inflation.
No, so at admin meeting, the ordinance or resolution we were talking was gonna be a cap, either a 4 or 5% max, if the inflation's at 8, it'll be a 4 or 5% max. Then inflation at 0, we'll put a bottom of like 1%. So you don't get it, you might, even though like inflation's at a 0.5%, where you're gonna get minimum.
Does anybody, run this as at an average inflation and not keep tinkering with it every single year? Like if inflation averages
You can't
3%,
We can, so typically how the unions run it, they do a contract, so every year they do it, and it's for next year to come back.
yeah, it's for the next.
But we
handful of
don't,
years.
we don't,
Maybe we adopt a 5-year.
Well, and that's what I was gonna suggest, because the unions I have been in, we negotiated every 3 years. Every 3 years.
Board
we're-
could vote for every,
We
for the
could.
next
We-
3
we
years, we're
very-
gonna use
we
2%,
very well
3%
could.
CPI.
we very well could, but I don't know if you're gonna get the entire board to do that. We can easily do that, for the next 2 years, you're gonna get 3% this year, we're gonna do 2.5% next year. But what happens if inflation next year begins to be 5%? Are we gonna make it up that next year? I mean, as you
We
know,
have
that's
to make
all.
it up after our period that we've.
Yeah.
But it's up to the board, but if you do it every year on the CPI rate,
But here's the problem with that. So right now, we have this surge of inflation driven by, and don't even get me on my tangent there.
No, you
So we
don't
have a
have to.
surge of inflation, now we have permanently increased all these wages by the max, when it was just a made-up thing to make inflation go crazy, and we're stuck with that forever. Now we could have back to 0 or 1% inflation for the next few years, but we're stuck with this
We
inflation
started on
bubble.
the high,
The
high
inflation,
end.
yeah, the inflation bubble that was created and.
Well, that's, you would see, because, so they ran the number, the labor statistic number earlier, she said she grabbed it. 3.1, 3.2 from November to November this past year. So,
What
which,
inflation number is she using?
I don't know, that was from .gov, so I don't
There's a
know
million different.
exactly, and that's, I don't know specifically which one that came, where it was.
But the current plan we're on is gonna do the same thing. The current idea of maximum 2% on a CPI and maximum 2.5 on CPI and 2.5 for, merit. You're gonna run this, I mean, obviously, you're not gonna,
Yeah, well, actually, this is less favorable, kind of, because there's a couple of years you just get the inflation.
yeah,
The
so,
raise.
so this is actually gonna save compared to what, I mean, the likelihood of having somebody hit the 2.5% every year for their merit, cause who's gonna score a 5 and everything, or the top
Sure.
4 and everything? Probably rare. But you're still gonna have this, which is gonna be.
You guys, another reason we went down this path is I thought the two of you said having this is gonna help with recruitment and
Yeah, it
retention,
will.
because people know that
Yes,
after 8 years, I'm
and I
here.
agree.
Yep.
I-
that's the whole idea, but the problem, but if you go, I mean, we can give a prediction as to where, okay, you're gonna be somewhere around here based on this. We can't, obviously, we can't guarantee it because something might go wrong. I mean, we might get to the point where, okay, we gotta cut staff because we don't have, it's,
And if we're changing the inflation, we're changing the tables every year, it's no better predictor than the merit and the.
yeah, well, it's just,
But the thing is with the merit, yeah, so you can say you're maxing everybody out at 5%. I was looking at people as employees they're all gonna be good employees. They might get maybe a 4.5%. No matter what, if you did that over 20 years, that was not gonna be sustainable. You would have an officer at one point making more than the fireman, more than the police chief, due to the fact of that compounding interest. Yes, at the beginning, they build up pretty quickly, but they don't get that merit raise for 4 years under the one bracket. They just get that annual CPI. And then they get that 3% or 4% merit raise to go to the next step for 5-6 years.
and the whole idea was,
They sit there and they only get the CPI for that year. They don't get any merit in essence that year. So that slows that progression down.
Yeah, you can see it starts pumping the brakes even between 3 and 4. I mean, they're only getting the CPI 5, 6, same thing.
But-
they're only getting
but
the
you think-
CPI.
That's a good thing. I mean, is you as an officer, then I'm only gonna get a 2% raise, if 2%'s the number, for 4 years, for giving them 7 years of
yeah, but at least
loyalty,
they
basically.
know they're getting something. I mean, you see contracts, through labor unions that most of the time you don't see anything higher than 3.5% a year.
And I can remember times where we didn't get a raise at all, or it was a 0.75%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was here.
You know me, when I first started, they said that's how you budget, whatever's left over, you give to the staff. I'm like, what?
So,
And that's, I'm glad we're looking at, and this was proposed, and it seemed like everybody was on board with it, it seemed like a good idea.
And
What,
something that
this
we
or
tried
the-
across the-
Well, the previous version
CPI
was
merit?
the CPI merit,
which
but this is, instead of having to figure out what it is every year,
Right.
it's easy just to go look at this chart, okay, this person's gonna be at this rate,
and I just know the steps, I'm hitting these steps with 3%.
and I don't,
cross.
I don't-
And then boom, that's
Oh,
our
the
new.
steps are 3?
No, you would heat every square would increase 2% on this one.
On the columns.
On the columns.
What, but across, you said it's all different.
It's all different, just because we had to make up, I had to
Based
fill
on
in the
years of
blanks.
service.
Years of service and who the current employees we had and what pay they were, I put them in their places and I filled the gaps somewhat in between. Now, you could sit here and make this stop at 20 years, you could sit here and may have max out in 10 years. You know, there's unions where they max out in 8 years, where every year they go up 8 years, they gain $30,000. Well, I don't think we can do that. This brings it down to our level and our race. I brought my contractor on, so, you know, I
yeah,
didn't.
see, they negotiate those, you know, they're usually 2 or 3 year contracts. You know,
Yeah.
rarely you'll get one that's a year because, you know, they're not sure, so they'll do a year contract, but that's very rare. Like I said, you usually see a 2 to 3 year contract in these union contracts, and they're basically anywhere from 2 to 3%, maybe 3.5% tops per year. So,
Unless
but they also have their, I wouldn't call it merit, they have their step increases where they change from, deputy A to deputy B, and then the deputy B, and
So, for
that's based
example-
on years. That's similar to this. So, year 1 is deputy A, year 2 is deputy B, and they just, actually it's backwards, they start at the bottom and working their way up,
I think
whatever.
you're right.
But they get an increase when they go to senior deputy, they get an increase above what their contract is.
Yeah, but we haven't even addressed that promotions in this, have we? How does that work?
Well, realistic, right now in the police department, he's salary, so there's no need to have a bracket in there. If you went back to that other page of Public Works, this is what I would be presenting as part of our resolution, this is what we would adopt. Public Works Department, they have maintenance 1, maintenance 2, and a foreman/maintenance 3. There's benchmarks are set to be a maintenance 2, certain requirements and all that to make that transition of the higher role.
And I can tell you that, you know, we'll get this all hammered out, but eventually that's something that we might have to do on the police department based on who might get the village administrator's position.
Correct, so
Might have to do what, when you lost me?
depending on who gets the village administrative position,
We would have to do what?
add another layer of supervision. Because of something that I know that one of the candidates would be highly in favor of. A non-salaried supervisor.
Who's the non-salary supervisor?
There is no non-salaried supervisor. I'm saying that's something that we'll have to look into. The police department.
And then, so, which we could easily add that bracket, so for example, the foreman here, this position is not gonna be filled on the public works department side due to the fact their staffing levels don't meet the need for a secondary supervision. A lot of that's built into your span control, like I talked to you, Cameron, I talked to you.
We talked about it.
So basically, if you added more employees to this, a foreman would come into play.
Because of your span control and your management. The police department already has that secondary manager in place. So realistically, if he was to retire and you want to replace him with an hourly employee, then you would set up another pay bracket with an X amount percentage over top of the patrol officer. And that's how our stuff is. The lieutenant, I want to say at work is like 7% more than the EMT firefighter or medic. So we got that, there's that gap in there.
Right.
We're percentage based between the brackets.
And then you've got, well, I know I don't count, but 2 other people that are getting to where they're out on the far end of that scale, to where they're gonna have a lot of years in between before they step up.
You got one right now on the police department who's just gonna get a CP.
Yeah.
He potentially could have been getting, on the old system, could be getting that 5%.
Yeah.
Which is substantial when it's an $80,000 employee. And I'm just pulling a number out of my mouth,
Yeah.
Compared to if he was just a CPI.
Right.
That's where you tame.
I mean, even if I was in a patrol position, I would be beyond this too. I'd be beyond that scale. I would be CPI.
So how do you think your crew is gonna feel about us changing this all up, especially if it disadvantages them based on us going through this whole thing last?
I think the ones that have been here a long period of time, they're gonna see that, at least they're getting something. I mean, because like he said, there was years we got 0.75%, we got 0, and they were here for all of that, so they've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys that are currently here,
I
they're.
can do it here.
The younger ones,
They
they
were
see
here
it.
now, I mean, they started with below $10 an hour, so.
Yeah, oh,
With
Not
some
quite.
of the ones that got 15 years
Close.
on, they might
Close.
see it, they've been talking about retiring in the next couple years. They might see this, say, hey, I might want to stick around for another 5 years.
Yeah.
I might want to, because now they see the predictability of it, as an entry-level employee coming in. Hey, if I stuck here for a 15-year employee, I could have been making this right now.
Right.
And they can see that. It's a way to retain something.
All right, Jason, any questions? You feel all right?
Yeah, I feel good about
Sorry to do this,
Thank you
but,
Thank you for
Yep.
going through that.
I have a
Don't forget your thumb drive, Adam.
national anthem to go to for the 5-year-old.
Yeah,
So,
don't forget your drive.
thumb drive.
and I've emailed these documents to you guys.
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
so
I got a copy of them. Thank you.
I gotta modify the one. I found some errors already. We'll figure it.
Okay, I believe is budget next.
And
You still bring the screen up, you're still recording, right?
Yeah.
So I did send out a kind of a revised budget document to everybody sometime today, that if you could pull it up, or I don't know if that's something we can put on the screen too, Nick.
You're logged in as me. If you go to my email, you can get it there.
Yeah, but I gotta get it on this computer.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right though.
it. Is it different than this hard copy?
Yes.
Where'd
Yeah,
you
it's
get the
got-
hard
The
copy?
hard copy came with the packet.
Oh,
You're right,
It's different.
I've got it.
which version is that? Is that the one?
That's the one he sent first, and then you sent the revised. I've got it here. Maybe.
So, and then Sally sent another revision today.
Oh, I saw that.
But part of that was because the current budget on your version was actually 2022 budget numbers, not 2023 budget numbers. So I was getting so confused, I'm like, something's not right. So I inserted the 2023 budget numbers in the version I had.
I think Sally's
Just-
bringing us some stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just heard you talking about budget.
Okay, gotcha.
I was hoping to be present if you need me to look anything up or.
Well, thank you. I think by and large, we're in decent shape. I just had a couple of things that notes, and I know you and I, Jeff, have kind of looked at a few things as well. I think the salary lines are kind of up in the air. Obviously, we don't know how many people we're gonna start the year with.
Right. Well, I would assume we're gonna start the year with the number we have. I don't, well, the only thing that might change is maybe a part-timer, if we choose to go that way. That's not gonna be a huge amount. It's not gonna hit benefits and all that stuff as well, so.
Yeah, so the number we have in the budget is a 2.5% increase over what was budgeted last year, which is probably, gives us a lot of cushion. It's not, it doesn't take a 5% raise in, but we're two people short. We're not gonna have
Right.
months of salary for two people. It's like you opened it up inside the email instead of, there you go.
Oh, I don't want you to open up OneDrive. Just have a look. I know this thing has Excel on it, so I'm not too worried about it. There we go.
There we go. So we were talking about the 376, 241, I believe, which should be the fourth number down for full-time officers.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we're pretty comfy in there. I mean, we're gonna have room, and one of the things for your benefit, Sally, too, is I always look for places that we are missed, that we wanna add on, but also that we can cut if we need, because we know we're a little bit, we have more in there than we need. Part-time officers, I just made that comment, we probably have enough in the full-time line where we don't really need 10,000 in part-time, or, I don't know. I mean, we can leave it in there for now, but again, a budget cut if we are not balancing or whatever, we've got some leeway there, I think.
And the next one, the police overtime, I added 3,000 because short people, maybe hours we're gonna use overtime for, so.
Yeah.
And maybe we can cut some of that if we do get another part-timer to cover some of those shifts, so it's kind of a balancing act between the part-time and the overtime, so.
Yeah, I think with those three combined, I just thought, boy, that's a little more than we probably need to have in the budget, but let's see how the final thing shakes out, because I don't think we need 10,000 in part-time, 18,000 overtime plus almost the full amount from this year, given our officer shortage at the moment. But we'll leave it for now, but that gives us some room. Just made a note on that health insurance, and that's been my baby, you know it has been, and we got a 30% increase, and if this continues like
Well,
this.
that's because I added in 2 new officers. Obviously, that's not gonna be paid out. I mean, I took,
What do you mean you added the
Family
two?
coverage.
I did family coverage for 2 new people.
Oh,
That's why that
you
number's
just
so high.
assumed those two would take
Yes.
the two new?
I just-
Okay,
It's the
just
worst
as a
case, worst case
okay.
scenario. I said, if we hire somebody January 1st and they take family coverage, that's why that number's so high.
Okay.
And I'd asked Sally about it, and I'd asked Kelly about it, and they said, put in the biggest number you can, and that can be whittled down. So there is some room in that to play with.
And that's true with streets and O&M. There's a split for a new person that we put in a full, just speaking about the overage in the general fund, there's another one like that too.
Okay. All right.
That's, I know you, I freaked out when I added the numbers up, and it came up to like 119, I'm going, how the hell? But I didn't know you didn't understand that was for full
Yeah, I
coverage for
did
2
not
new people.
understand.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what it was for.
And that's also for 12-month coverage too.
Right,
which
exactly,
They would have to be both hired on January
right.
1st.
So like I said,
and both,
there is some room in there to work with.
On the admin social security salaries, and you're here, I'll ask you the question. I just did the same math, which is, social security revenues or fee, whatever, expenses are 6.2%. So I just took 6.2% of everything that we put in our salary line. And that was a different number than 35,578. It was 36,729. And that is including that officer office salaries, which I know that's always this, whether we're gonna have that or not.
That might be the difference then.
Well, it was more than that. I think, like, part-time wasn't picked up, and I think overtime wasn't picked up either. And I figured if you're gonna put those wages in there, you gotta put in everything that goes with them, including IMRF and Medicare. So that I changed those formulas and I got new numbers for that, and I can send you my spreadsheet too.
You had 36 something for social security?
36,729.
Okay, that's probably another one I've got. This one here is 37,529, but
The one I have has everything except that 7,500 in it, so.
Oh, and that's a
It could just be
35,578.
that we're off on some of the salaries. I have to take a harder look at it. I haven't
And
really
yes,
looked at it since I've gotten back. but-
and yes, I've been thinking about using one of the girls up here to help with some of the stuff back in the police department. And they said, both of them said, you want to be willing to help whatever I need help with when they have time, so I'm trying to find things for them, maybe I can get them certified to do certain things. Certifications they would need in order to do those.
Is that because they have time now, or you're getting religion?
Well, I'm getting, but being short
With
too often,
Mexican
I'm getting
God,
gone.
okay.
There are some stuff it's, I mean, it's not hitting me yet, but, over the past couple months, when I was working a couple cases, some of the stuff, that's why some of these budget numbers were off, because I didn't have as much time to spend on focusing on this, and I was following up on those cases, but those are all done now, but now he's out, I still have to take calls during the day when nobody's here, because what we've done, we've shifted, Randy Smith to cover the weekend days, so he works Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday the next. So we have coverage on the weekend, on all the days on the weekend, and I'm here through the week, every other week, Monday through Thursday by myself, and then Tuesday to Thursday the next week. So I'm taking calls now and having to follow up on those.
And the other guys are doing the full night shift then?
And I'm hoping to be back by December 18th is what my target date is to come back.
Yeah, but not out in the vehicle and stuff,
No.
right?
No, he would stay back here and do a lot of the administrative things to get those taken care of. I would go out and take the calls.
And I think the whole argument about this $7,500 office hours for Jason's benefit too is we don't want either of you two out here making copies, doing some basic stuff, and even beyond basic, if you can train someone else to do it, because you're more valuable in other ways, that's why.
But we'll have to know, I mean, right now, the salaries of the people working in the front office are not hitting this line item
At all, nothing.
at all. So if that is the plan, we'll need to
Right.
split it up.
Yeah. And that was the thing, I think initially, well, this goes back to when Carrie Farron was here, I believe, is she was working both, she was working up front and working back in the
Oh,
police
even
department, so
Diane.
that's why that's,
Even Diane, I mean.
Yeah.
Ian was too.
So that's where that 7,500 came from, it just stayed there since then. So we thought maybe in the future we would use it again, and now we're getting around to that point where we may need it for a period of time, so.
So Medicare and IMRF all need to be adjusted too. I did the formula for Medicare, and then IMRF will need your guidance, Alex. I don't know what the new rate is.
I know that it went down, but I don't know the number yet, so I'll get that.
The Motorola thing, I know I asked about this before, should that be a separate line item? It's.
That's what I talked about, we talked about this in the past, about doing
Yeah.
a
Some
separate line item for
professional
that,
fees.
we just haven't done it. So that's why I put it in professional fees, professional maintenance, the 530.
And Jeff did ask me to do that, and I haven't done it yet,
So we are thinking about creating, I don't think I want to call Motorola.
No,
but
we could do like,
is it-
audio, video recording costs or something like that, just something,
Was it pretty much all our radio communication type stuff?
yeah, it's all,
or
yeah, you can just do communications or,
I'm not sure what we want to call it.
yeah, cause we could put Starcom in,
AV Communications,
yeah, cause you could put Starcom in there, you could put, anything for the Motorola contracts and those costs are in there. I did find out we were still getting billed for storage costs, so October was gonna be our last month, I paid that one, and now we will no longer have a monthly storage fee coming in. The last one we had was $77, and I said, okay, because Rachel called Motorola and said, well, your contract started in October. But, okay, so I'll pay the October one, the full amount, and then starting November 1st, we have no storage costs.
So you did get to the bottom of that one?
Huh?
You did get to the bottom of that one?
Yeah, Rachel asked me I wanted her to call, I said, that's fine, go right ahead, so she called, said, that's what they explained to her, is that the contract started in October, so.
So what is the number that you would like put in the AV communication?
I'll have to look at it, the 16.8 for Motorola's, contract cost would be one, I'll have to go back, because the other stuff is like, I have in my spreadsheet, I can tell you what they are, because I can pick them out.
We can get that later.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe you had it there.
I don't have it, but like I said, I have it on my spreadsheet, and I can
It's
tell
in
you.
your, yeah, it's in the notes under that too, like watch guard and guard camera cloud maintenance, or is that one the thing that's going away?
That the cloud maintenance will go away. No, the cloud maintenance was, no, we don't have that. The cloud maintenance was the monthly fee for storage.
All right, well, I'll let you guys figure that out.
Yeah, but, yeah, I'll be with you. You'll be here tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay. Remind me,
I might just stay. Everything just keeps adding up.
just dig it all up.
So Lexipol, that seemed like, you said it was gonna be an 8% increase over 2023, so I think that number needs to come down to 4,500 from 4,200. I don't know why it's 4,851, I think it's Sally's version.
The one I have is 44.94.
Yeah, so I just moved it to 4,500 and
Yeah, I think that's, somewhere where I had. Cause it was, I looked at, from 22 to 23, it went up 7%. Oh, I'm sorry, 22,
So we haven't gotten a bill for that this year?
yeah, we got it.
And didn't it go up?
Yeah, it went up like 8%. That's
So
why.
4,200?
Huh?
4,200? Was the bill
That's the
4,200?
budget
A
amount?
little over that, I think it was. Is there, what's it in my notes there? Is there a note on the?
You had said 8% increase or something like that, or 7%, that then you increased it 8%, but I thought you said that I'm looking at my version, so
Yeah.
I thought you said we paid 4,200 this year, but it sounds like maybe we paid more than that.
Are you logged into here?
It can be, yeah, what do you mean?
Go into the P drive and look into the,
Oh, I'm not on this one, I can't.
huh?
It's
Oh, actually, oh, hold on, maybe I can.
4158.
Yeah,
Oh, that's 4,200.
never mind.
Okay.
So I just added 8% to that.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't have anything for this year.
Give me a second, I can go look. I thought the bill came through.
Last year was in December, so I don't know if we've received an invoice yet. I mean, you may have, but Rachel and I.
Nick, for fuel, we're going up to 20 grand. Do you think that's too much?
I don't think that number is correct, the 12,000. I think that,
The 12,000 year to date, you don't think is correct?
I don't think so. Chief and I were just talking about it, and he has actual numbers in front of him right
Well,
now.
I think we pulled, or that's actually Sally did that one. Let me pull the last four.
44.9110 is what the bill for this year was.
So 4,500?
Yeah.
And 8% is 48,
Yeah.
38.
Yeah. So she's got the right number in there.
What's that?
She's got the right number in there then at 48 something, because we said an 8% increase is what we had this year. We're trying to get away with that.
Sorry, what?
How do they get?
Flexible, how do they get away with that? 8% increase?
There's a lot that goes on with Flexible as far as keeping everything up to date.
Yeah.
But isn't it all the same really to them, whether?
Right.
No,
I don't know.
it's different state to state. And they do multiple states. So each state has to have their own updates, their own, changing federal law. There's a lot of things that go into those.
Sally, can you check on what finance or what fuel is year to date for police? Nick thinks that number's wrong on here.
Didn't we just have a conversation, that number?
Yeah, there's about $3,000 left in that line item for this year. And it's running anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a month. So that number's gonna be pretty close. And the only reason it's gonna be less is because fuel just went down recently.
And we're not running 3 cars at the moment?
Yeah.
We're not running that mid-shift?
Well, yeah.
We're at 13,700.
Yeah, 13.
So we have still over Oh, we had budgeted 8. 13.7, you said?
Yeah, the 695, that's correct, that's what I have in the system.
So you got about 4,000 left in an $18,000 budget.
And that's gonna be close to what we're probably gonna spend.
In November and December. And like I said, 6 months of that has been not
Not
having
having
mid
midship.
cars.
And like I said, I don't know what fuel costs are gonna do,
Yeah.
you know.
And the last one was paid November 1st, so that was probably the October
Yeah,
payment, so that's a 10 months.
Yeah.
The other question I had, so on travel and expenses, you,
I put that in the wrong place. I put an extra 700 in dues membership subscriptions. The 700 was supposed to go down in travel expenses.
okay.
That's,
So what should each of those numbers be? Because I'm in a different budget then.
dues membership subscription should be 700 still.
Okay.
And then the travel expenses should go up to 1,000.
My question was, if you're going to Texas, why didn't we increase that?
Yeah, I went back, looked at my notes, I put it in the wrong line item.
Okay.
I put it in the one above it accidentally, so. You made that note, and I went back and looked at it, and go, I know I put that in there somewhere.
Okay. And then IML, you guys still have to get the IML numbers for us, right? I mean, there's a plug in here, I just didn't know if there was, because right now, we have the same as last year budgeted. As a plug
That
number.
3867 is an actual,
Well, we have 26,350 in the IML.
that was what Jeff put in there.
That's what I
Because
put
he
in there.
didn't know at the time.
Well,
Okay,
I
it
went
should be
by,
what?
That 30,867 that's in the year-to-date. You know what, that's
don't know
not
what you-
in, I have a more updated
Okay.
year-to-date, because it's really hard to update a spreadsheet with everything that's happening all the time.
Yeah.
So those only go through October.
yeah, I just because I didn't know how to figure it and how it goes up, because, now, is it my understanding, isn't the IML, or there was one cost in there that included,
Work comp,
work comp?
yes,
That's included in the IML, right?
yep.
So why do we have a, no, unemployment? Wasn't that included in some other number somewhere? We talked about this before.
When you were, calculating salaries, I said, the IML number, it's part of our insurance. That was a while ago.
Yeah,
I
it
think it was
was,
last year.
yeah. But it is what it is.
Included.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know what to put in for the new IML renewal, so I just drug it over and put it in the same
I
place.
So you
think that
think
should
I
be
should-
31,000.
31, okay.
So that's just for the police department?
Yes.
Okay. And you have it on the spreadsheet you sent out?
I think in the spreadsheet, I put in the numbers that
I
the
had,
employees gave me,
Okay.
with a few exceptions. So it probably hasn't been updated.
that's fine.
Yeah, I got so many versions of the budget right now, I don't even know.
I know.
We're not even talking the same
That's why I
numbers in every
don't like
category.
the spreadsheet, but it is nice to see the ins and outs and have that cover sheet.
Yeah. Okay.
But we literally just paid that IML like 3 weeks ago, so that's why we didn't have it.
So anything else
No,
jump out at you?
no, I don't think so. The license plate readers we talked about, so that's been added, the
Yeah.
rifle, the digital speed signs. I guess, are we finding value in those digital speed signs?
I think so. I think they're very good for, just notification. I mean, because I've noticed that I come over the top of the hill coming south, and I see cars in front of me that, the speed sign's saying 35, and by the time they get the sign, they're doing 30. So I think it's a good reminder.
and the ones that we're looking at aren't as robust as.
Yeah, they're not.
They aren't as robust as that one?
No,
These
they're
ones,
not gonna be they're not gonna be that way, they're gonna be more movable.
Right, they're gonna be user-friendly for public works to move and put on a standard pole.
Yeah, instead of having to have a 8-inch pole like those require, it's you can put on a T-post.
And it's
It's a
not
lot
gonna,
lighter, and it's basically just the display of the speed, that's it, there's no other.
So no little message saying
No
thank
message
you.
thing on it or anything like that.
and it's not
Slow down.
collecting data or anything like that, it's just,
But they're like half the price too. aren't
Just
they?
a
Yeah,
deterrent.
they're a lot,
Yeah.
quite a bit cheaper.
How do you feel about that equipment sinking fund going up to 20,000? Is that number, were you just inching it up, or do you feel like that's
Well,
enough?
I look at it this way, we looked at a 3-year replacement schedule. In 3 years, $20,000 a year, 60,000, right? It's costing us to put a brand new car together with all the equipment about 75. Now, granted, if you replace a car, a lot of the equipment from one car is gonna be moving into another, but you still have that, installation cost involved with it. So there is,
everything's kind of creeping up,
yeah,
from the car to the labor to the,
When is your
individual.
next car when is I know
Well,
you
the
got like 2 in 1 year.
Yeah.
well, that was because of a crash one, but yeah. The oldest one we have is 2020. And with it, it's only got 42,000 miles on it, so it's gonna last a couple more years, I'm sure.
What do we have in there now? Do you know off the top of your head? What's accumulated in there now? It's okay if you don't know.
I have my report.
I think you're around 40, 45, I think it was.
I mean, eventually I'd like to see us get a administrative car and get rid of one of the aging vehicles.
Police. So we have, 42,000 in there, and 14,000 of it is exclusively for cannabis related.
But we did figure to enforce those, you need a vehicle, so I think those funds could go.
Oh,
toward
yeah, we did
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
that.
So we can use the cannabis money.
And that's been researched and we know that we can do that.
Well,
I
'cause,
left that up to them.
yeah, the whole idea, I mean, you're making stops on potential traffic.
That has been researched and blessed and.
We wouldn't be the only agency doing it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Mhm.
Well, they did it.
No. We should.
We'll find you all, I won't give any of you grants, we'll give it all to
We
you.
won't.
If there was a police for this stuff, I would be much more concerned.
Mhm.
But I guess you have the 42,000 and the cannabis is paying about between 300 and 400 a month.
I mean, if you need to cut somewhere, you need to cut a couple $1,000s, I would be okay with that.
So I was thinking, I'm
I
just
was
wondering if we
wondering
should
if
go to
it needed to be
25.
more, that's what but
It's a 3-year cycle at 75.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, yeah, but a 3-year cycle, but we're not gonna go 3 years now, because.
But all our cars are gonna have to be replaced about the same time, right? Because they're all about, we bought so many at the
I
same
thought we
time.
were gonna stretch it out though here.
They
We're
are,
gonna try
they are,
to.
especially with being short 2 people, they're not gonna get driven as much as they would with the midship.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
I mean, if you want to put more money into it, I would never say no.
so the 20 grand, so we have 42 in there now. It
62,
would end up being 62 and then another year,
82.
it would be 82 and you need 75 plus whatever it'll be in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like I say though, you're limited, if you're moving a camera system from one car to another, taking one car out of service, put another one in service, you're cutting the camera cost, which is about 5,000. You're cutting a computer cost, which is about 3,500 to 4,000 by then probably. Radio cost, radar cost.
Don't those things also go obsolete in those many years?
Not really. The computers wouldn't, I don't think, unless something happens.
We've been doing pretty well with our
Yeah, computers
computers.
would last pretty well. The radar systems, no, not usually, because we've only got, 2 now that are older?
Only one. One that's an older system.
I'd almost say let's
What's
go
the
to
top one?
25 and then
I
we have
guess
to cut.
I'm-
we can
yeah,
go
the
back
top-
down
there's
to
2 cars that
25.
have
So
all the
let's-
radar.
I'll send you this, Sally. I kind of coded where I made changes, but I got my version, which I think is close to yours.
Well, whatever you end up with, can you please send it to me so I have
So maybe sometime this winter, we should come up with, we should just list all the equipment and police
I have
and try to put a date on it.
I have each, because I have to do IML's
Insurance
Reporting.
reporting. So I have all the costs for all the cars, except for maybe the last one we purchased. I haven't put that one together yet.
But I mean, just like to create
Replacement
a
cycle
capital
almost.
replacement plan, you
That's
know?
fine, yeah.
Not a terrible idea, because some of those laptops are starting to show their age.
And it'll make all this a lot easier.
Mhm.
And some of that, if you go, one thing I wanna bring up is, office and computer equipment, 512.
Mhm.
So I put 4,500, I think it was, in that line item to cover part of the cost of a new server. Now, it almost sounds like they might be going a different direction to do a cloud-based server.
I'm not in the loop on that.
That's kind of what I've been hearing. Well, now that's to Encode. Now, I don't know if that includes all of our systems, or that's just Encode. So,
I don't believe we're going with the Encode cloud at this time. I don't know for a fact, but
well, even the 4,500 I put in there is gonna be short, because I think it ended up.
I actually added 7,000 to what you put in there.
Like,
So,
we've got 13.5 in Sally's
yeah,
budget. What do you have on yours?
Yeah, because it was 20,000 divided by.
I had 6,500.
I did 7,000 for police, 7,000 to admin, and 7,000 to O&M.
That makes sense.
But it might scale down a little bit from there. I think the most recent thing I saw was like a little over 17,000, so I don't know if,
Yeah, 'cause
I
I
have
think,
to validate that.
I
but
think the server itself was around 12, 14, and then you had like 5,000 in
Installed.
installation costs.
Mm-hmm,
But another thing that we should think about is, I know that the furnace has been going out in this building the last couple of days.
Yeah.
That'll eventually be a cost that I'm sure will get split between 3 departments.
This is all the village administrator, capital spending, budgeting stuff that someone's been talking about.
Kelly brought that up to me before the meeting about the furnace, and I'm going to recommend we use Hale money for that.
And that works out perfect, because that's something that is already there.
It's interrelated because it's for building repairs,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, at this time, it just makes
Did
sense.
anybody hear what they had to do to it today to get it to work?
Kick it.
What's
Just,
the
I
best-
almost said the exact same thing.
Because my understanding, the repair yesterday was, he wasn't so sure that was gonna fix it, but it ran for a period of time. When I came in this morning, it was 63.
Well, I do know that if we do have somebody come out and do a furnace, I want them to look at all the vents, because we don't get anything on the back at all.
It would be nice to have an overhaul, just to check everything, because yeah, this building sucks in that regard.
And even if we eventually wanted to sell it, we need to sell it with working components.
Got it.
Anything else, guys, on, budget?
I don't think so.
And then we just have to figure out on the revenue side about those grants, what we do with that and how we handle that. I mean, we've got a grants line on here on the expense side,
I saw that.
so I don't know if that means we're supposed to put that Motorola money there in the hopes that we get the Motorola grant, and then if we don't get it, I don't know. what we do.
Typically, we just put it in the revenue side. There's police grants. Right now, we have 30,000 in there, and I don't have it
On the revenue side?
on the, yeah,
Is that what we think we have a shot at getting, 30 grand on the camera grant?
that was just like a guess.
So
Based
then,
on
does
what?
that have to be in a grant line on the expense side?
Mhm.
So then maybe the
Well,
Motorola stuff
actually-
has to go there.
Actually, no, because we already purchased the cameras, so it would just offset the expenses for the Motorola, whatever the annual fee is.
Yeah, and it'll be a little odd, because if we get 30, it's almost 2 years of expenses, right? So but we'd have to put all the revenue in 1 year and just offset 1 year of expenses and that bonus or whatever you wanna call it.
They're finance people.
Head spinning yet, Jason?
Oh, you're good at this.
I'm surprisingly tracking.
What's it?
So I'm surprisingly tracking.
Yeah, I'm kind of following along.
All right, so, I'm happy to send these to you guys if you want it,
Yes.
or
Yes.
wait and compare it to what you sent this morning, and I don't know if I want to sort of change yours, though. I don't know why, you sent one like at 11 o'clock today, I didn't see it till 4 o'clock, so I have no idea how different it is than what I'm working off of.
It was just the past stuff that I
Oh,
updated.
okay,
Um,
all right, well, this should be okay then.
Yeah, go ahead and send it, and I think from this point forward, I asked Rachel, because that's just the spreadsheet, that's not our general ledger, so while I was gone, Rachel plugged in the numbers, and we were supposed to meet this afternoon she had some questions, but I printed out, and looks pretty good what she did, so I just have to go through it. We'll start the process with the green sheets and the white sheets. It's a lot easier to follow.
No, I think we're in decent shape. So I did bump the, sinking fund up to 25, we'll see if that passes as we go through the
Oh,
balancing
sinking fund?
process.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if you're gonna-
I'm gonna just clean up my notes here and I'll send it to everybody in this room and Sam. Well, here in this room.
Is she still here?
All right, anything else on budget?
I think so.
I've gotta find my agenda again, I'm gonna use my paper copy. I guess we're at monthly crime statistics, we have that report. Any comments from anybody on that?
Yes, I have one on the tow fee,
Okay.
administrative tow ordinance, sheet. If you look to the far right column, where it says amounts, you'll see a bunch of X's. Those were outstanding. I don't know what happened to them, so I contacted our towing company. We have received payment for all those that are marked with an X.
Oh,
After you called,
Yes.
what gives?
Well, they ran into some issues in March that kind of got them behind, so, I asked about what happened to these vehicles and we haven't received payment. They said, oh yeah, we really dropped the ball in March, so, they sent us 2 checks, one for $2,500 to cover some of those and another one for the last one at the bottom, so there's a $3,000 that came in.
if you remember, we were looking at outsourcing to another
Yes.
tow company and. that
Yeah, still looking at that, just trying to find time to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have, if you noticed before, there was a lot of blank spaces before. I have updated it. The ones obviously are marked salvage, went to salvage, we get nothing out of that. But the ones with X's on the left-hand side of the column, we did get paid for all of those.
Well, there's one of their, kind of sad to see that one with the salvage.
You know, looking at call, whatever this is,
Homesteads.
this is big jump in this suspended revoked driver's license, I see.
I saw that.
That's, not uncommon. Plus you've got people out there that are actually looking for people.
And theft?
And that will, yeah, the thefts are always,
So unlike the retail theft, is that happening down at the corners? Could I even know that?
a large percentage of them, no.
Really? Stuff you don't know.
No, surprisingly with that, not really, you would think the corners, but no. It's
Huh.
like from houses and residents and.
I mean, we could look at, we get calls down there for people to drive off. But the problem is the one business down there doesn't have protocol to have it all prepay. So they have somebody pull up, try and activate the pump, it won't activate, so somebody inside, an employee activates the pump. Well, the person thinks their card was scanned or whatever, so they get in their car and they leave.
Yeah,
Well, that's not a crime.
right.
They authorized the pump, it's their responsibility that payment be made. That's not ours. That's basically a civil matter, because they took it upon themselves to say, well, we believe they're gonna come in and pay. Well, And if they don't, that's just there, and I'm not gonna be their collection agency,
No,
We can't use our authority as the police to collect their private.
no,
Yeah.
because they don't have a good process.
it's too bad it happened.
All right, anything else on that topic? Sergeant Half, do you have anything for us?
I really don't, because I've been out the last week.
Oh, excuses. Well, glad you're here, but take it easy. You probably shouldn't be here.
That's what I told them when we walked in.
Well, you gotta take the notes, man.
I think one of us can handle that. Chief White.
And the only thing I have is, I'm waiting for a return for our leads audit. See what happens with that. Should be okay, I think, but you never know. Other than that, no, just day to day, trying to keep up with stuff. Need to move on.
All right, the business, anything?
Old business, I talked to Chad, the UTV signs will be going up. Scheduling for next week.
Well, wait a
Also,
minute. Why are we doing that? But did the county approve Cunningham yet?
No, but,
Why would we put the
we
signs up?
passed it.
No, we passed it pending the county
Yeah,
getting the
county
road
has to-
approved. And then, otherwise, the whole thing falls through. So I would not be putting signs up until the county gets their,
Yeah, the whole idea was, it was gonna be 90 days after the county approves the use of those types of vehicles on Cunningham Road.
I just was, okay. Then they
yeah,
can't
so I
put
would
them up
not
till
have
it's
to put those
frozen.
up.
Can they, okay. Can they put the posts in?
Yeah, put close to it.
I suppose I don't know if they really wanna do it.
Just trying
Have
to
you
get,
heard anything from the
trying-
county? mean,
I reached out to them and, I haven't heard back.
I think the way
That
the
was-
ordinance
we
read
could-
was they
yes,
have
it
90
does.
days to approve it, and if they don't approve it, then our ordinance is repealed.
Right. Or, I don't know if it's repealed, but it's.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
It's,
it was,
it's not
it
accurate.
was contingent upon the county approving Cunningham
And
Road.
giving them 90 days,
I
I
know
think.
it was, but I thought that was implementation. I'm not sure.
No,
you're right
that
on
was, that was based on, if the county didn't approve it, then it wouldn't go any further. It had to be approved through the county. I go back and look at it, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it
That's
said
how-
too. That, it's not that it dies, we just have to read
No.
up and say, give it another 90 days, or give them another whatever time they need. But it still doesn't go into effect
Was
until
that-
that road is there.
was that an ordinance or a resolution? That was an ordinance, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Well, the UTV was an ordinance, I can't remember where the language was about this isn't, it's probably right in the ordinance, so, yeah, look up from that meeting that nobody was at where it was approved. No, it was
okay,
approved
I'll
in
call
police
him
committee.
back on that.
Yeah, so I don't know what the 90-day timeline is as far as the date, but, yeah,
I don't
somebody
either.
should follow up on that.
And then I.
But yeah, please don't put the signs up until that, I mean, that would be terrible if for some reason this didn't go through and then we're stuck with signs and people think they can do something that they really can't yet.
Yeah, I didn't know that read that way.
I'll go back, I mean, you'll probably get told before I do.
Because
Go back and read it before I do, so.
Just go to that board meeting in Unical.
Any items for the regular board meeting?
I think Adam's bringing step paid through administrative, I don't think it's coming through police.
Did you finish
I don't think anything else that we talked about, is there anything you guys,
So,
you really don't have anything? No reason for executive session, next meeting date would be the last Wednesday of the month at 5:30, whatever that is.
October or.
You go backwards. Done there, done that.
27.
12/27.
All right, is there gonna be any holiday issues with anybody on that?
No, with me. Nope. Still doing 5:30.
Take a motion for adjournment, Jason?
I will make that motion.
All right, guess I'll second that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned at 6:55. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll sign these, but my name is misspelled in them.
I didn't tell you.
This conference will now be